About 3 years ago, my parents punished me for being gay in the most horrible way, and then I found out why. Even though my parents had no clue, I knew that I was gay pretty early in my life. I've had beautiful friendships with guys and girls.
No.
But when I was daydreaming about the meet cutes in the middle of the street and one true love, the only image that would come to my mind was a girl. I didn't actually struggle that much with the idea,
It's
but
okay
I didn't
if
tell
y'all
anyone either. I don't know why exactly, but when I was 15, I started wishing that I would have just kept my mouth shut. That day, I was hanging around at my best friend Damien's house.
I won't
He
talk
was
so
one of
much
those
because
upper middle class, I'm against everything that my rich parents do type of kids.
I don't.
We were swimming in his pool, joking around, when he swam up to me and kissed me. I tried pushing him away, but he kept forcing himself on me. Finally, as I got myself out of his claws, he looked enraged. "I like you, Bella," Damien screamed, as if it was more of an accusation than a confession. He managed to cover the whole emotional spectrum, from rage to resentment to crying hysterically.
What?
I still felt like I owed him an explanation, so I came out to him. "Damien, I'm gay." His reaction was mostly saying, "Oh," and then proceeding to swim and play around as if this whole situation had never happened. I went home that very evening, sat in my room reading a book, not really pondering what had happened earlier, when my father came in. His face looked mysterious, like I couldn't really read what he was thinking. As if he had 3 different emotions at the same time. He said, "Pack your bags. You and your mom are going on a trip tomorrow." That was obviously strange, as we didn't really travel much, but I knew better than to disobey my father, as he could be a little bit dictator-like if you started questioning him.
What that even
The next
means?
morning, my mom came into my room and said that we were going. I tried interrogating her on where, but she wouldn't budge. As we were driving, my sweet mom was silent as a mouse. Finally, we arrived at this strange institution that looked like something between a camp and a mental ward. We went into an office where a middle-aged woman was sitting as if she was waiting for us. "Hello, Karen," she greeted my mom. As I was looking around the room, it dawned on me. I felt my heart sinking to the ground. I looked at my loving mom, who wouldn't even make eye contact with me. The woman, the counselor, smiled at me with this horror movie smile and said, "Follow me. I'm gonna show you to your room." My mom didn't even say goodbye. I sat in a strange room on a bed that now belonged to me for I don't know how long, and tried to grasp the idea that my mom had just drove me and left me in conversion therapy. One of those radical institutions that try to manipulate and abuse you to change your sexuality. That night, I barely slept, because I felt like I had nobody in the entire world, and I knew I'd been betrayed by none other than my best friend. The next month was a nightmare. I had no way to contact the outside world. Every morning, the counselor gave me unknown medication that made me dizzy and weak. Then I'd have to endure this intense group therapy where we were forced to reveal our most intimate thoughts and then be punished for them. We had to learn to hate ourselves. Sometimes they'd invite us one by one into the room and force us to look at straight adult films. As the counselor kept telling me that I'd rot in hell for being gay, I felt like I was already in hell. It actually started working. Just maybe not exactly in the way they imagined. I did hate myself. Every time I'd look at another girl in the camp, I felt disgusted. I wanted to throw up or to run away just to keep myself from thinking the thoughts that were straight from the devil's mouth. When I arrived, I befriended this one girl, Sally, who was about the same age as me. But as we spent more and more time in these horrific lessons, we started turning on each other. One time, I heard her in the bathroom talking on the phone, which was not allowed. She sounded happy and, God forbid, in love. Rage came over me.
Oh no,
It was
no,
so
no, no.
unfair and unjust that someone
Let's
got
go
to
over the
experience
alphabet
happiness,
one more
but not
time.
me.
A,
I ran straight to the counselor's office.
Stop it!
D,
Turn this stupid TV off. Sorry, that was my baby brother show, and okay.
To tell on her, but I was mortified by what I found in there. As I walked up to the door, I heard moaning, and not the pray the gay away kind of moaning. I opened the door to see two women on the table,
Nope.
kissing, caressing each other. I immediately understood that one of them was the counselor, but the other seemed familiar to me too. Her long brown hair, her skinny legs, and the long, colorful skirt. I think the whole state heard my scream. I screamed so loudly that the two women jumped from the table and nearly fell out of the window.
Ha ha ha.
The three of
That
us
was them
were
again.
standing and looking at each other like we were in some Western standoff, waiting for one of us to draw the gun and shoot. The counselor, still trying to hold on to her dignity, sat on the chair as if nothing happened. The other woman, my mom, walked out of the room, not even looking at me. But this time,
What?
I wouldn't let it slide. This time, I wouldn't just silently obey their orders as they jailed me like some kind of criminal. I stormed out of the room and followed my mom. I think she was ready to run, but I managed to stop her. Leave me alone. You're a disgrace. I hate you. She was spewing, sobbing, barely breathing. At that moment, I wasn't even angry. I felt pity. Do you hate me? Or do you hate yourself? I asked my mom. Do you even know what they do here? My mom sat on the ground, sobbing like a little girl. I'd never seen her so small. Yes, I was sent here too, she answered. We sat on the ground for about an hour as she finally reached for my hand, calmed herself down, and said, "Let's go." I left my suitcase and a bunch of clothes there, but they didn't matter anymore. We got into the car and left for good. My mom and I were driving for about 4 hours straight until she pulled up at some motel. I didn't understand. I started panicking, you know? Was it possible she'd leave me again? She asked for a room, and as we settled down in the motel, Mom said, "We have to make a plan." She was scared that if we went back, my father would do unspeakable things or turn us into some more horrible institutions. That's how I ended up living in a motel for about half a year. My mom got a job in the motel as an administrator and managed to finalize her divorce. I didn't see my father again. I didn't even get my stuff from home as he simply threw it all away. During those months, I tried remembering my childhood, life before all this, how normal it looked, how many friends I had, how happy I was. I guess part of growing up was figuring out that life isn't perfect, that your parents have flaws and secrets. Finally, we managed to rent a small apartment, Mom and me, and I got to go to a normal school again. We bonded a bit as she told me her story, how her parents treated her, and how they pretty much arranged her marriage. I managed to deal with what happened to me in that camp, and even got myself my first girlfriend this year. I reconnected with Sally, and we even helped her to get out of her abusive parents' home. I decided that that's what I want to do. To help people who are left and abandoned by the ones that are
That's so
supposed to love
sweet.
them. The only thing I regret is that my mom never got the support she needed. And looking at her now, I'm really afraid that she's never going to be able to fully accept herself. And that's what everybody deserves.
Oh, that's so adorable. Okay, stop.